ICE agents clashed with protesters in Chicago. Tear gas was administered against the protesters and a high-speed chase to arrest alleged immigrants. There's also a report with the top U.S. immigration official who conducted an interview explaining the changes under the Trump administration. In addition, this report will also provide details regarding DACA recipients. So take a listen.
One federal agency still paying employees is ICE, which is conducting operations in several cities, including Chicago. And there's new fallout today from the accusation ICE agents used tear gas on a crowd. People had gathered in protest following a high-speed chase involving those agents on Tuesday. Homeland Security says a driver rammed the Border Patrol vehicle and, quote, crowd control methods had to be used on a group that had gathered afterwards. Several people were arrested and chemical agents were deployed. CBS News correspondent Usher Qureshi joins us live from Chicago this morning to talk more about this. Usher, update us, bring us up to speed.
Hey there, Vlad. Well, this morning's been pretty quiet, just until, I guess, the last few moments. We haven't seen more than a handful of protesters out here in Broadview. Things have remained calm outside the ICE detention facility after a tense few days last weekend. When we were here last night, there were about 24 protesters. It was the first night without a fence outside the ICE facility after a federal judge ordered it removed. Now, state troopers blocked the entrance last night as protesters were moved back under a new 6 p.m. protest curfew. That curfew has been put into place between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Now, most of those protesters left peacefully with no arrests or incidents Wednesday night.
So Chicago, there's a judge there that also just signed an order that prevents ICE from arresting people at courthouses. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that order came from Cook County's chief judge, and it effectively bars ICE from making warrantless arrests in or just outside county courthouses. Advocates say the move will protect immigrants and witnesses who fear detention simply for showing up in court for appointments, for example. It comes after weeks of reports that federal agents were waiting outside the Daly Center and other courts, making arrests that sparked protests and demands for action from county officials, Vlad.
All right, Usher, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Latest on the immigration enforcement showdown in Chicago. We saw ICE agents throwing tear gas at protesters this week, and now there's new video of a deliberate collision as agents chase down two suspects. People who live there say they are now living in fear. Usher Qureshi spoke to some of them, and he joins us now. Usher, good morning to you. What can you tell us?
Here at the ICE facility in Broadview, which has been a flashpoint for recent protests, the scene was calm last night as demonstrators obeyed a new protest curfew put into place by the Broadview mayor. But it was a different story elsewhere in the Chicago area earlier this week. And a warning, some of the video you're about to see may be disturbing.
This video shows the end of a high-speed car chase in Chicago Tuesday. DHS says U.S. Border Patrol agents driving a white SUV intentionally hit the back of a car to apprehend two undocumented immigrants. Police say a crowd formed, and as officers moved in to calm the scene, some people threw objects at federal agents. In response, the agents deployed tear gas, hitting both protesters and officers, and made several arrests. Juanita Garnica says her 16-year-old son was detained.
Nobody called me, nobody did anything.
In recent weeks, we've seen confrontations with immigration officers escalate across the Chicago area, sparking fear and outrage. Federal agents detained this young man outside a Walgreens and pulled this woman out of a car near a school. DHS accused her of stalking an ICE vehicle.
They don't have a warrant.
And this video shows ICE agents slamming a man to the ground. He was carried away on a stretcher.
What's the feeling in the community right now?
So sad, scary.
On Wednesday, this group canvassed homes and businesses, sharing information about people's rights during immigration enforcement.
I've never seen immigration enforcement done in this particular manner with this level of aggression.
Former acting ICE Director John Sendwig, who served in the Obama administration, argues immigration operations are meant to be discreet, not played out in public.
I think that the administration has put these agents in a really tough spot. They've put them on a very contentious and politically charged mission.
Meanwhile, the top judge in Cook County issued an order that bans ICE agents from making warrantless arrests in or around courthouses. That went into effect yesterday.
Usher, thank you.
Of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services says the Trump administration is looking to change how the immigration system currently works in the U.S. Here's what Director Joseph Edlow told our Camilo Montoya Galvez in an exclusive interview.
We are not here as a police force. We are going to be here with our agents investigating large-scale fraud patterns that right now create much confusion and many problems within the legal immigration system. It's ultimately going to make it easier to legally immigrate to this country and to go through the process. I don't want to be the DMV of this government. We want to be faster, we want to be leaner, and we want to do a job that really does get to the core of everything that this country believes in.
DMVs across the country typically don't have a good reputation.
No, they don't. And I want to make sure that we do have a good reputation. We are the ones that you go to, yes, for these benefits. And benefits granting is the core mission. But as part of that determination, there is an eligibility aspect that needs to be at the foreground of everything that we do. I think where this agency has gotten to, especially in the last administration, has been as a rubber stamping agency. That is contrary to the law, contrary to congressional intent, and we're moving away from that.
CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camila Montoya Galvez is here with us to talk more about that interview. Camila, good morning. Great to see you. So what else did the director tell you about this Trump administration overhaul of the system? He mentioned fraud patterns there. So what will they do?
Well, under the second Trump administration, this agency, USCIS Arrow, has mounted an aggressive effort to more heavily scrutinize and screen legal immigrants who are applying for green cards, U.S. citizenship, or other legal immigration benefits. It has placed a greater emphasis, for example, on vetting the social media activity of applicants looking for what the director would call anti-American views and activities, and also redefining in many ways the good moral character requirement for American citizenship by counting different factors that are negative and positive towards that determination, and also now trying to hire a new team at the agency that will be armed, will be a law enforcement team, and that will be designed to go after suspected cases of immigration fraud. Critics would say that these changes are scaring legal immigrants and deterring them from applying for benefits, Errol, that they qualify for, but the director told me that they are designed to promote the integrity of the system.
You know, earlier this week, we spoke about visas being revoked for people who had made anti-Charlie Kirk sentiment. So as this director says, anti-American views, how are they interpreting that?
That really is the million-dollar question, and I posed that question to the director. He said that could mean somebody who is advocating for the overthrow of the U.S. government, somebody who is espousing, in his words, terrorism activity and views, or views that are sympathetic to terrorist groups across the world. But of course, critics say that that analysis and that determination could be very subjective and could include legally protected speech. That is an accusation that the director, to be fair, did deny, that he is not going to be going after people who are participating in free speech, that this is just about people who are espousing those terrorist sympathies, as he would say, or an advocate for the overthrow of the U.S. government.
And I know that you also asked him about the DACA program for Dreamers. What did you have to say about that?
Well, just to level set, DACA is, of course, that program that provides deportation protections for 500,000 people who came to the U.S. illegally or after overstaying their visas as minors, as children. It is still in place, but it is only open to the current recipients. The Trump administration, he says, has not made a determination yet, Errol, on whether it will try to terminate this program, as it tried to do during the first Trump administration, saying that those conversations are ongoing.
Very interesting stuff and a great interview. Camilla, thanks very much.
Thanks, Errol.
White House cracks down on illegal immigration. The administration is also making changes to legal immigration. By the way, that includes DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals policy, which applies to children brought to the U.S. illegally as children, as you probably know. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director, his name is Joseph Edlow. He is the official in charge of overseeing legal immigration pathways. He sat down with our Camila Montoya Galvez in a CBS News exclusive. Edlow detailed the Trump administration's plans for DACA.
And, sir, one of the most high-profile, well-known immigration programs overseen by your agency is the DACA program for so-called Dreamers. Is the second Trump administration planning to try to terminate this program yet again?
You know, we're still engaged in conversation. Obviously, there's a lot of litigation on that. So as that continues to play out, we'll see where we land.
Why is it that the administration has not yet articulated a policy position on DACA this time around?
Again, I think it has to do with some of the litigation that's been pending. But
Okay.
you'd have to ask people at the White House or the department why they haven't done that.
Because in 2020, and I'm quoting here, you called DACA an illegal and de facto amnesty program. Do you still believe that?
I do.
Okay, so he had not a lot to say, but then a lot to say with that last point there. Where does DACA stand? What is the current status of
It's a really good question because DACA is still in place after more than a decade since the Obama administration created it back in 2012. It currently protects roughly 500,000 people known as Dreamers who came to the U.S. illegally or who overstayed their visas as minor children. They can continue to renew their protections, but it is very much still in legal limbo. And that is because a group of Republican-led states are asking a federal judge in Texas to gradually shut it down on the grounds that it was an illegal policy. And as you just heard, one of the top U.S. immigration officials under this administration agrees that this program is illegal, but the Trump administration has not yet made a final decision, he says, on whether or not it will try to terminate it yet again, because during the first Trump administration, it tried to do so, but was blocked by the Supreme Court from doing so on technical grounds.
The other thing is the administration is proposing changes to the citizenship process.
Yes.
What can you tell us about what those changes could be?
Well, the administration is mounting this aggressive campaign to more heavily scrutinize people who are applying for legal immigration benefits, including citizenship and green cards. In terms of the citizenship process, the administration is adding more questions to that civics test that citizenship applicants have to take to demonstrate that they have a good basic understanding of American politics and history. It is also expanding what counts to have good moral character. That is one of the requirements in the citizenship process. They're adding factors like whether you have traffic tickets, but also positive contributions like volunteer service and your educational attainment. And they're also restarting something known as a neighborhood checks, which involves investigators going into neighborhoods to interview the neighbors and co-workers of citizenship applicants to see if they can attest to whether or not the applicants have good moral character. Critics say that these changes are designed to scare legal immigrants and deter them from applying for benefits that they qualify for on paper. But the director told me that this is designed to promote integrity in the system.
And I guess raise the bar in some way. But how does the government, I mean, it's already strapped, right, in terms of law enforcement at the federal level. How will they be able to now go into neighborhoods and conduct these interviews?
It's a good question because the director did say that this neighborhood check will not apply to every single citizenship case because, simply put, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services does not have the manpower nor the resources to carry that out for every single case. But he says it will deter fraud and abuse and will prevent bad actors from becoming U.S. citizens. But, of course, there's still this chilling effect in immigrant communities, people who are here legally who are now scared of applying for American citizenship.
All right, Camilo, with always some really crucial reporting for us. Thank you very much.